attach them to the link as well. Just let me know. But this is the 2023 paper in January. Not seen it before, so let's go through it. Let's start reading it. You may as well start reading it with me. So a local council would like to change a small town centre into a smart town. The council would like to develop a technology hub. You should give yourself, by the way, 20 minutes, 30 minutes to read this through. Shouldn't take that long, really. There's not that much to read. But give yourself that first hour and a half to do this and the PID or this and the Gantt chart. What I'm actually going to do today is I'm going to start with doing the PID, but also do the costings and the Gantt chart at the same time, because I've got quite good at it, and when you're quite good at it as well, you should be able to do this too. But you can, a lot of information when you're reading it that you can immediately extract, right? So okay, so it's worth just doing that then. So your local council would like to change a small town centre to a smart town. The council would like to develop a technology hub that will monitor how the town is used in order to increase efficiency and reduce environmental impact. Okay, so you're the project manager for Smart One devices. So who will manage the project? Smart One will install and configure the hardware and software and related infrastructure for the first phase of developing the smart town. Right, so you're working for Smart One. You're the project manager for them. They're the tech company. Part A, so there's two phases here. That's interesting. Part A, you're required to complete project documentation to initiate and launch the project. And in Part B, you will monitor and control the project's progress to its completion. Right, so I assume that either that is two phases or that's Part B, the Part B scenario. I'm not sure, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so what's the project called? Right, immediately we could give it a name. We could say it's called Smart Town. Let's call it Smart Town. Project sponsor name, Imran Hussain. Look, he says Imran Hussain, the council person. I'll just copy that over. A lot of this is about copying and pasting, basically. It's like a comprehension task. You're extracting information. So Imran Hussain, the council leader, has requested that the system will do these things: monitor CO2, allow users to monitor traffic, monitor energy, enhance public and government, monitor waste disposal, enable intelligent street lighting. He feels that the system will ensure 40% savings on utility bills, ensure safer communities. So let's just fill in this stuff here. So Ben Smith, I'm the project manager. The client name is the council. We're Smart One Devices, the company we're working for. So I assume Imran Hussain is sponsoring it. Put whatever you think is intelligent. I just got a message from someone saying you were at Leicester College. That's right. Yeah, Anthony. So I assume everyone who's joined this is joined this so that they can do Unit 3. I hope so, because that's what I'm doing. Yeah. So start date. So hi, Anthony. So start date. That will come later on, wouldn't it? But I know the more scenarios of where we know where the information is going to be. The start date is the 9th of January. 9th of January. Now, 2022. Now, I can't put any more information because I haven't. Hi. I think it just dropped out again there. Is everyone still with me? Sorry about that. I'm not sure at which point I dropped out. Need to get more stable internet. Everyone still there? Yeah, it's back now though. Can you see the screen and everything? Right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I think it's working. Okay. So I'm not sure what point I crashed out on. Um, Apologies, but we're just reading through this scenario, so you should be reading through it too. So hopefully you've been doing that whilst I crashed out. Um, so we're reading through. It's a smart project. We're gonna. Imran Hussein is a sponsor. It starts on the 9th of Jan 2023. And we're just filling in the easy details at the beginning, document details, distribution approvals and everything. Just writing a few names in there. Now I've written notes in this because this is a template, but you won't have these notes in here. But I don't actually really need this. But project aims is basically going to be these things here, because Imran has requested a system that will do all these things because he feels that it's going to be these things. So an aim of the project is to monitor CO2 levels, but also I think I'd say, if you'd agree with me, an aim of a project is to say 40% on utility bills, right? So I think we can put both of those things in there. What do you think? I think these things are also business cases as well, that you're saving 40%, ensuring safer communities lead to a greener solution. So where it says business cases section, let's go and I'll replace this text I put in there. Let's go and replace it with that. Match the destination formatting so it looks like you haven't just, you want to like sort of tidy it up a bit and make it make sense. Like I'll put some capitals. Like this. So they're business cases as well. The scope, we might as well put the scope in there now. We can just take these ones. I think the scope are that it's got to have sensors and cameras to monitor the environment, customized council app, installation and configuration of a new server, installation of a network infrastructure, installation of hardware and software, right? So I think that these are also, this is the scope. And remember, scope is the things that you commit to on your project that you should not allow scope creep to happen. So if anyone else says, I've got a message from someone saying, my project failed and didn't finish the function points. Okay. I don't know what project you mean. We haven't got there yet. I'm just stepping you through each part of the of this scenario, Tion. So this is the scope, sensors, customized council app, installation and configuration of a new server, the installation. So that's a scope. Nothing more should be added. No more scope creep, right? I suppose we could also just we can put start putting our smart targets in there as well. I might as well, seeing as I'm at that section. When you get really good at like reading these papers, you know immediately what's got to go in there. So to get the smart targets, it's going to be each one of these, each one of these aims or activities. Will you upload the VOD afterwards so we can rewatch the live? Of course, yeah, it saves automatically. But try and just follow along and do the paper with me now. That's the whole point of me doing this. If you've got the time to do that, of course. So we're going to put these aims, these tasks in. And while you're putting them in, it's kind of a good chance to read them as well. So you can think about the order of which you're going to put them in when you do the Gantt chart. So create customized apps, setting up the back end. One paper I saw, I think the other 2022 paper had a strange order of tasks and they needed to be reordered. Installing and configuring server. installing network infrastructure. So it sounds like that makes sense. Smart targets should be in that order. So we create the app, set up the backend, install configure server, install network infrastructure. These are hardware tasks, I guess. Installing cameras. And sensors. I'm not going to do part B right after today at phase ed, so we'll just see how this goes, because I'm going to try and do it tomorrow morning actually. So I'll create another live for tomorrow morning. We can go through that. You can go and do part B though. So installing cameras and sensors, installing and configuring the technical hub. So paste that in. I'm going to match destination formatting like that. And then I'm going to insert a row below. Insert row below. Because there's a couple more tasks. So like I've just not seen this paper before. I've not read through it. This is brand new to me. So so installing and configuring technical hub, installing configuring, I've already done that one. Installing and configuring the technical hub, installing and configuring technical hub, so hardware and software, two different things. Then we've got software testing. Yeah, if you want, I could do another part B tomorrow morning. I might do that really quickly. But you know, when you get good at these exams, it doesn't actually take the full time, really. So hopefully it shouldn't take too long tomorrow. I don't really want to give up too much on my weekend. So I need to have a break as well, because I am also work full time in the week. But I thought I'd do this because I got quite a lot of views on that other video I did, and I thought, well, maybe it makes sense to do a live broadcast of demoing this before the paper. So those are all the SMART targets. Again, we don't know the dates yet because we haven't done the table. We're just going to write they've not been achieved, so we're going to put no in each one. It looks like the order of those tasks is good. I guess these software and hardware testing will come at the end of finishing the hardware and software tasks. So you do need to think a little bit about the order. That is probably part of the assessment. Oh, materials. What materials have we got this time? We've got solar powered smart cameras, car chargers, smart lighting, smart sensors. So we can copy this whole table like this. And I'm going to replace, I left my notes in there. How's that going to look? It's actually copied the table out. That's quite good. Looks quite neat. We don't need to do anything. If I match destination formatting, then it looks even better because it looks like my table. So there we go. That's the materials. That's all you need to do for the materials. So again, I'm copying that out. Responsibilities. This is what everyone's going to be doing. So we've got junior network engineers. Good chance to read this as we're copying it. Install network infrastructure, cameras, technical hub, hardware testing, junior network engineers. Software engineers create the customized apps, software testing. Senior network engineer will work on installing, configuring server, installing network infrastructure, installing. Right, I'm not going to remember all this. App developer works on creating the app, setting up the backend, software testing. So let's paste that information in there. And match the formatting, our formatting. That's weird. Let's put it in Russian. Undo that. Weird, isn't it? Right, so we don't need this information about general function points, so let's tidy that up. So I'll delete that. So obviously when you copy off the scenario, you sometimes get strange formatting or whatever, and you just need to sort that out so it looks neat. But you don't need to write it out by hand, that's what I'm saying. So this is what everyone's going to be able to do. What's the purpose of the project? Well, you don't always have to copy everything. I would actually, let's just do organizational chart. As I scroll past it, I'm going to do Command Shift, which is Mac, and I'm going to insert that into the project management structure. If you're on a Windows machine, I think it's Shift Window S, and then grab that in there. Some people leave that out. Senk has a question. One problem I had in the exam is that they gave out the question in print paper instead of online. So yeah, they should give you a digital copy, right? You need to ask that. I mean, it's ridiculous if they don't. Like, yeah, because you're going to have to copy all of that. Thanks, Fisher. Thanks for that comment. Yeah, just tell your friends about all this, and it really helps. Like, you know, the more views and likes I get on it, the more I'm motivated to do more videos, and not just about this topic, but I do a lot about, as you'll see, I've done a lot about different types of computing things like programming, because I teach A-level computer science as well, and I do the Unit 14. So yeah, we've got that project management structure in there. What were we going to fill in next after scope? Assumptions. We'll come back to assumptions and risk in a minute. Just check everything else is fine. What's the purpose of the project? You can write your own paragraph as well. There's absolutely nothing wrong with writing your own words for some things, but it is essentially the list of things here. So Smart One Devices has been put in charge of creating a system that will monitor CO2 levels and see, I'm just going to literally write out everything that I've done before, so I might as well just copy it from here. So creating a system that will help the council improve the town by monitoring CO2 levels and allowing users to monitor traffic and levels of parking in town. Again, sort out the capitals, monitor energy usage and efficiency of buildings, enhance that, monitor waste disposal, enable intelligent street lighting, monitor CO2 levels. So we're going to create a system that will help the council improve the town to be more energy efficient by that. Then you could say they hope that, and then copy and paste this list of things. Project will ensure at least 40% saving on utility bills, ensure safe communities, encourage economic development, improve sustainability, improve public health, improve efficiency, lead to greener solutions. Yes, that's the main purpose of the project: monitoring CO2 levels, getting the traffic, parking levels in the allowing so you can understand parking levels in the town, energy usage, enhance public government engagement, monitor waste disposal. So I've really got this in my head now, what we're doing. Background to proposed work. so previously, before in other videos, I've said you just should put all the tasks and all the dates. But I think that's the SMART targets. In the background to proposed work, we need to write about when the project starts, when it ends, how much it's going to cost, and the number of function points. So we can we need to come back to that to fill that in. Project management and control. Right, this is something we can write about. So, but again, try and remember some of the things you've written in any other past paper. I'm going to, these things I just, purpose of the project, I'm going to copy these things up here as well. And the project aims. Project aims to create a greener, cleaner town by those are its aims, aren't they? Yeah, so we've already filled out quite a bit of this, and I'm only 37 minutes in. So really I should be finishing this at about 11:30, but I'm going to finish it before then. Project management and control, these are things you just got to remember. So that you've written about before. So as a project manager, you want to do a few things. You want to make sure that you are managing the staff correctly. You are considering risks. You've come up with good contingency plans. You have a good communication plan. So you're talking to your workers and the client, regular or suitable interviews. You want to make sure that you, what communication plan, risk analysis, making sure staff are kept busy, kept the quality high and the costs are as low as possible, but we're not sacrificing quality. These are all things you've got to write about. So as a project manager, I want to make sure the quality is kept high by putting the right staff on the right projects, on the right tasks, so they deliver something that works. I want to I will try to consider all the risks of the project and come up with contingency plans so that if those events happen, then the project deadlines or budgets won't be affected too much. An important part so then to talk about the communication plan. A communication plan is important because we need to make sure we are talking to each worker and the client to check if they have any issues or requests, so that the project is delivered as needed. Right, so good communication plan. Considering the risks. Management of staff. So we could add to that first bit. As a project manager, I want to make sure the quality is kept high by putting the right staff on the right task so they deliver something that works. And that staff are kept Staff are kept busy, because you don't want to have staff who aren't doing anything. That'd be a mistake. They'd quit and then you'd lose a resource. So you want to make sure they're all busy, but not overworked. So don't put the same person on every single task, as this will stress staff and they may leave. These are all things you can do. What else? Anyone got any other things you think you could suggest adding? I would say that's pretty much about it. They're generally sort of things that you've written about before. Risk management and control. One of the really good things to think about is when you look at Part B scenario and they come up with all the checkpoint things that have gone wrong. Why remember those things and discuss them in your project management and control, because you could, for example, one of the things on the other 2022 paper, the 2022 paper, I just recently looked at, there was a problem with the quality of the software. It didn't work. It had bugs and things. So, for example, the way to solve that was to make sure that testing was done properly and to a high standard. So we can add that in. Testing is also going to be done to a high standard following the ISO testing standards. Just name drop that, it's a good one. Whereby software and hardware is so what kind of testing is there? There's using acceptance testing of users, automated testing for using when you work on when you program software, you write unit tests. So automated testing using unit tests, or what would be a better word to describe them? Automated testing, automated test-driven development. Testing is a key part, definitely something you need to mention as a project manager control. So we've got project aims, project manager control, background to proposed work. Now, background to proposed work, as I said, is going to be the start date of the project. So they said here, 9th of Jan, finished by. Let's just put that in for now and then update it. That's when we'd like it to start and end. But after we've done the Gantt chart and things, it might change. So I'm going to paste that in. Ninth of Jan till the 27th of March 2023. We can add up the number of function points here. So we've got 18 general function points. So add up all the general and all the complex and say that the total number of function points and the total, I'm going to get a calculator to do this. You will have access to a little calculator, I think, or you won't have the internet in the exam, but you will have access to a calculator. So we've got 18 plus, I'm adding up the general function points, 18 plus 18 plus 20 plus 8 plus 14 plus 22. So there will be 100 general function points, right? So a background to proposed work is just literally a short summary of the background of all the work that's going to happen. Start date, end date, how much it's going to cost when we figure that out, number of function points, and the materials that we're going to use as well. So I don't think you should list all the tasks when they're going to start and end, because that's what you put in SMART targets. So we've got 100 general function points. Complex is 12 plus 10. 12 plus 10 plus 10 32 and 32 complex function points. So this is a total of 132 function points. However long that's going to take, which we could probably add in later. Then you should say a summary of the materials you're going to use. We could come back and sort that formatting out later if you've got time, but don't worry about it too much. Just get all the information in there first of all. Now put a summary of the materials. The materials we need are one of each of these, and we can come back and put the total cost in. So that's just a short summary of everything you need to say. So what else can I fill in now? Or shall I switch to the Gantt chart? I think we're going to do the Gantt chart in a minute. I've got the scope, business case, assumptions, constraints, and risks. So now we've read also, I just thought of one more thing to say project management control. You're going to, testing is important, but building in extra testing time, as they always give you in this scenario, is important. So that's probably something worth adding to project management control. So say I will add in extra testing time for software and hardware, so that if there are any major or minor faults, it will not affect the budget, or mainly the deadline, as we will have considered this. That's a really important thing to say about testing. Oh yeah, 90,000 was the actual budget as well. So you don't know how much is that going to cost yet. So we could start writing assumptions, constraints, risk management. These are always things you can come back to as you're writing the exam. If you think of another risk or something, then say it. You know, stakeholder. Let's do that. Remember, the completeness of this is important, but filling in risk management, SMART targets, communication plan carry individual marks, right? So and they're really important things to fill in. So council leader stakeholder is Imran Hussain, and he's the council leader. Stakeholder is Ben Smith, or your name, project manager. Remember to cost the project manager in as well when we get onto that. And then there's two senior software engineers, network and senior software engineers. There's juniors, app developer. So we could say stakeholder Kia Hales, and so I've mentioned maybe the senior engineers by name. So senior software engineer, and then Sophia Harrell, senior network engineer, and then we've got just say development staff, and these are junior software, and you don't want to name them all, there may be loads of them. It's junior software and hardware, junior software and network and app developer. Yeah, so that's listed all of those. Who do we need to communicate with in our communication plan? So Imran, we should communicate with him, and we should communicate with him maybe once a week, email, Teams, face to face. Perhaps you could go and meet him. So he's in charge of the project. He wants to know about everything. Purpose of meeting him is to keep him, let's say like once a week. Keep him updated on just suggest something sensible you think would be good. To keep him updated on the progress of the project. Like when you work on a project as a project manager, usually you work in agile way in sprints, and if the sprints are 1 week, then you would report back to the client after. Usually it'd be 2 weeks, right? So let's say you're going to have 2 week sprints, once every 2 weeks, right? So you're going to talk to him once every 2 weeks at the end of every sprint, right? And then you've got senior software and network engineers. I'd say you're going to have a proper meeting with them once every week about finding out about issues. And same way you can communicate with them, find out about issues with the project. And then the junior dev teams, you're going to meet every day in a daily stand-up meeting. And that's where, like, and I've worked on software projects like this, you meet every day and you stand up and you say what you did yesterday, what you did today, and any blockers, right? And you enable them to do their work better. Find out about daily tasks and remove blockers or issues preventing them from doing the work. Yeah, so you meet with the junior devs every day and you find out, what did you do yesterday? Maybe they didn't and you need to fire them seriously. And what did you do today? Yeah, so that's the communication plan. Carry separate marks, important to do. The only other real major thing we've got to do here are these assumptions. It can be hard, you know. It's like hard to think on your feet sometimes, especially if you're under pressure in an exam. Can anyone who's watching this, can you think of any risks or assumptions? Again, we should look at the list of things here. It's going to be basically things like we assume that all staff are not sick. Validated by the PME. I think you put a name, Ben Smith, project manager. Comments. We assume staff are basically risks, assumptions, constraints. Constraints are about money, but to the budget, time, and quality. You're constrained by those things. You're not constrained by quality, but you're definitely constrained by the money you've got and the amount of time you've got. So what are your constraints? Maybe you're constrained by the number of people you've got working with you. Assumptions are that everyone's going to be there on time and do everything that they're meant to do every day. All right, so they're not sick. We assume staff are not sick, or they are not. We assume staff are not sick, or they are not. We assume staff they are not sick, so it won't get behind. So the project won't get behind. What else can we assume is going to happen? We assume that the system will work. Maybe the CO2 monitoring system will work, and probably Imran is going to validate that, isn't he? So council, or I will, or a senior software engineer. Let's say senior software engineer senior engineers. So they're going to validate that. They're going to come up with a test plan. We need to know if the system we made will actually work. What other assumptions have we got here? We've got allow users to monitor traffic levels, monitor energy usage. So any one of these, we're assuming that they're going to work. So we assume that the CO2 monitoring system, energy usage, waste disposal, are all going to work. What else can you assume? Come back to that. Sometimes you go a bit blank, but especially during an exam. Constraints. Well, what are we constrained by? We're constrained by the budget of. You might find when we cost it up that maybe that's not enough money. PM. Maybe we will need to go over. What else are we constrained by? I suppose we've got quite a lot of. Well, we've got so we've got these Smart One devices. They're my staff and subcontractors. That's something to think about. Subcontractors are people that a business will hire, who don't directly work for you. So they're people that you can employ, maybe pay a daily rate to. So that could be a constraint. So yeah, another one would be the sub. For another assumption would be the subcontractors deliver good work, and a constraint here would be you could write subcontractors. They are expensive and may go over budget. As like, are they expensive? Do they actually cost more? If you look at the costing chart, they're all the same cost, but you cannot assure quality from the staff externally employed, as you don't know them as well. Some contractors not delivering quality work, but they do cost a lot more, and they can cost a daily rate as well. So yeah, it's things like we're assuming that our materials are going to be delivered on time. So we've got these smart cameras, car chargers, lighting, heating sensors, cabling, routers, smart bins, servers, desktop computers. That could be another assumption. Everything is delivered on time. We're assuming that the scope does not change. Yeah, that Imran's not going to come in with something new because you forgot, as clients like to do sometimes, and you just have to sort of say, no, we can't do that right now. We can do that when we've got time to do it. Or build that into another sprint so we can cost that in. Yeah, make sure you fill out all the other boxes. Everything is delivered on time. If the client requests other things, budget that into a new project, right? Or sprint. Everything is delivered on time. Need if it is not, then tasks will take longer, right? Subcontractors deliver good work. We're assuming that as well. Subcontractors deliver good work. What else can we say about that? Anyone who's still watching online can suggest things to write here. It's good. Maybe you can tell me some of the things that you've written. The subcontractors deliver good work. You cannot assure quality on stuff you don't know. Oh yeah, I just thought other things as well, like testing. We assume that everything's going to work. That will come under this one. Right, so assumptions, constraints, and risks kind of all merge into each other. Time to complete project, Anthony said. Okay, Anthony, are you doing project management? Yeah, time to complete project. We're assuming that things are going to happen on time. Risk management. Okay, so now risks, they all relate to everything we've written before. So all of these assumptions are also risks. I think all your constraints could be risks as well, going over budget. What are you going to do in case any of those things happen? I think the first risk I'd probably say is that the systems don't work, right? Now, remember, when you're doing probability, impact, and severity, probability is out of 3, impact out of 3, severity is probability times impact, so you get it out of 9. You need to do it in numbers, not in words. The risk and the contingency plan are in words, but those are in numbers. The systems don't work. Well, what we're going to do, what's the probability of that? I think it would be low. Impact would be very high, though. Severity would be 1 times 3, which is 3. What's our contingency plan? Like everything I wrote about really here in quality management control, I'm actually going to copy that so I don't have to write it again. I'll add an extra testing time. And then we're going to do ISO testing standards. So if that does happen, what's my plan? Well, I've got this extra testing time, so I've got time to fix faults. So we have time to fix faults. This is where you really want to write a lot. The more information you put down, the more the examiner can see you thought this through and you understand how to risk analyze. And it will get you some marks. I think it's 6 marks if you look at the mark scheme. I will add in extra testing time for software and hardware so we have time to fix faults. Also, ISO testing standards will be maintained to ensure quality. Right, so the budget is 90,000. What else? What if the risk? What if staff sick? I think the probability of that is high. The impact of that, 1 or 2. Looks like we've got quite a lot of staff. We've got junior software. We've got 3 junior network. Yeah, so we're actually constrained by not having that many software engineers, junior ones. So I might add that as a constraint. You see, things come up when you think about it. Only 1 junior software engineer. That's a constraint, being limited by staff. This might be an issue as we have not got enough staff to work on the projects on the project, and we may get behind. Staff are sick, so probability impact will let's say it's 2, so severity could be sick. 6, what plan am I going to do? Hire external contractors, or move another developer onto a new task. What other big risks are there? Materials not delivered on time. Chance of that, let's say it's low. Impact is probably quite high. Another 3. Well, make sure we have multiple suppliers, right? Make sure we can get multiple people to send things. I mean, that isn't what they said in the scenario, but it would be a good idea. Make sure we've got multiple suppliers, so that if something is not delivered, we can get it from somewhere else. Systems don't work. Junior software engineers, subcontractors, budget. So it's basically staff not being there, systems not working, so we're testing it. Things not being delivered on time. That's always things that come up in the checkpoint. I suppose the scope change, it could be a risk, couldn't it? I might come back to that later on if something else occurs, but it's usually like staff not being available, things not being delivered, systems not working. How can you get around those issues? You test them, you make sure you've got other staff members to step in, and you have other contractors. The last thing I've got to fill in here really is really simple. It's the deliverables. The deliverables are the things that it mentioned in that first paragraph that Imran said he wanted. So they're ensuring that at least 40% saving stuff. So I can get that from here, and I'm going to copy it down into deliverables. So there's those things here. Okay, it's just a copy and paste job on this. And right, I'm almost ready to do my Gantt chart, which will allow me to add any missing information to this and complete the Part A paper. I have to insert another row. When it asks about components, I think I've got a missing row here, so delete. It's usually asking about the types of materials that you need. So if we look at the materials and what do we need to deliver like 40% saving on utility bills. Maybe things like smart lighting and heating sensors. Ensure safer communities. Well, you probably need you need to use smart lighting. Economic development. So I think that what they're asking is for you to list the components here, and then describe what you meant by that. But I'm going to like move quickly on to just doing, so we can come back to that and fill that in later on, or you can. I'm going to move on to doing the, so I'm going to log into my, so I haven't got project on this Mac, so I have to use the log into my college and use it there. What piece of software are you using to do the Gantt chart? So it'd be interesting. Let me know. So I'm gonna log into and use project, and we're gonna cost up the project, and we're gonna plan out who's going to do what work. So this is the other part of part A. So I've spent about a good hour on this already, so that's pretty fast. I've got half an hour left of the time I'm meant to be spending on this, still to fill the rest of these things in when I can come back to it. Like, don't get stuck on it, just move on to the next thing if you get stuck. Like I'm sure there's other things I can add in. I definitely need to maybe complete this deliverable table. Just get on to doing, and I need to put in dates and comments, probably costs of different tasks, which we'll find out by doing this, and maybe add in some things for background to propose work. But basically that is complete. Okay, so whilst that logs in, sort out my screens there. So has anyone got any questions so far? Or is everything making sense? So let's open up Project App. What pieces of software are you using to do the Gantt chart? Like, we're quite lucky here to have this project at our college. It's quite an expensive piece of software if you buy it. So I'm going to need to get, so I'm actually logged into a Windows machine on my Mac here, so I'm going to need to go to get this scenario. Hopefully this is going to work. So I don't think I'm going to be able to copy from my Mac into this Windows machine. It would be really helpful. First thing I've got to do, or the first thing you've got to do, is copy in all these objectives. These are the tasks that you need to cost up. Yeah, that's not going to work. So let's go and get the paper. That's the paper, isn't it? Okay, so the first thing you've got to do, right, moving on to the Gantt chart, we've got to get this list of tasks, and we're going to copy them into task name in project, or whatever software that you're using. Only 2 people watching right now, which is a shame. But I will complete this because this will be a useful video to just have uploaded as a demo, and people can watch it in their own time. So we need to copy these things. Those are the tasks, and we're going to copy them into task name here. That's the first thing we've got to do. The next thing we've got to do is, so I'll just shift the windows over like that. I'm going to switch to my resource sheet, and I'm going to go back to here, and I'm going to get the different staff members I've got. So so we need to look at the organizational chart here, and we scroll back up to here. I think we've got to enter this in by hand pretty much. So senior network, senior software. You just write the name of their role. Senior software, senior network. Now we've got 3 junior network engineers. Junior network engineer 1, 2, and 3. So we go junior network 1, junior network 2. So I'm going to just copy and then change the name. Junior network, junior network engineer 2 and 3. So we've got 3 of those. 1, 2, 3. They're subcontractors. So again, we talked about that being a risk because they're external. We've got 1 app developer and then a project manager as well. Now, people often ask, like, as a project manager, they don't say how many function points that takes. A sensible idea would be that to assume that the project manager may spend 1 day a week, I think, on a project. So you just need to budget that in. Right. Also, we have materials as well. Now, someone showed me this week that you can actually put materials into this list of resources, and then you choose their type to be material, and I do think that makes a lot of sense. So let's take a little bit of a risk with this video. If you're used to just taking and put them in here, if you're used to doing it the way you know it, stick to that for the exam, because I have done this slightly differently in other videos, but I actually think that this makes quite a lot of sense to do it this way. So I'm going to copy these. Now, if I can paste them in there like that. Solar powered smart cameras is a material. It's also put the cost in now. Just leave it there, it doesn't matter. It might actually help when I'm trying to put in the total cost for those things later on. So smart heating, routers. So I've copied in all the materials. Solar power cameras, car chargers, smart lighting, smart heating. It missed out cabling, didn't it? Cabling, routers, and server. So we haven't got cabling in, so I'm going to copy that in here. Cabling, routers is the material, smart bins, and a server. And we're just only having 1 of each of these. But it makes sense to put these things here because these are actually types of resources. I'm just gonna, why is that not pasting it in? Okay. Doesn't like the comma. Yeah. Right. So that's a type of material as well. That's a type of material. So how much of a desktop computer is there? 2,500. Might as well just write that in because we've written that in. I've copied that in by accident from everywhere else, but it doesn't matter because when it comes to costing it, because we need to add these to the cost, I know how much it's going to be. And I have to keep switching back. So we just got to mark all these materials as materials, and all the workers we've got, all the staff we've got are work, right? So that's that. And then I'm going to switch back to here. You need to add insert a task at the top, and let's call this council. That overall task, council smart project, and I'm going to group all these together, and I push select more, push that arrow, and now it's going to group all of those things right underneath in one big group. So when did the project start? The project started on the 9th of January. That's when it's going to start. And how long did we have to finish it? I have to look back. So I'm switching between two screens now. 27th of March 2023. So, and then January, so we select 27th of March. So got 56 days to do the project. You can see how much time we've got there. We need to shrink this over here. Now the resources, this is what somebody showed me the other day, and I'm going to save that because it said it was running out of disk space. So let's call it Smart Council Project. Well, I think one of the really important things to do when you're doing this Gantt chart is to keep saving your Gantt chart at regular intervals, else it might get corrupted. And the worst thing that could happen in the exam is that you lose all your work. You don't want to do that. So look, there it is. I've saved it. I'm going to keep saving it. Maybe even keep a copy of it, right? Right. So resources. So the resources for these tasks will be the staff, but the resources for the overall project, I'm actually going to select all the materials. So the server, the smart bins, the routers, smart heating, smart lighting, and solar powered camera. Solar powered smart cameras and the server. Right, so I'm assigning all these materials to the project. And then we need to then look at each one of these tasks, and we need to figure out who's going to do what. 1 second. Someone's just knocking the door. Right, so I've added all the materials as resources, and now we're going to choose who's going to do what task, and this is where we create this Gantt chart. And then we're going to need to do the costings as well. I might have to open up an Excel for that. The first part of doing the Gantt chart is to figure out who's going to do what, and then you can switch to an Excel and you can work out the function point analysis, and then you can work out how many days each task is going to take. So creating a customized app, well, I mean, that's quite obvious, isn't it? Like, I think it's going to be the app developer. So create a customized app. So we choose app developer. Setting up the back end of the customized app. Well, app developer again, I think. Installing and configuring the server. So who can do this? Installing network. This is quite a nice paper, this one, because everything's just on one page. You haven't got to flip around. Installing and configuring server. Senior network. Installing senior network engineer. Okay, I have to put senior network engineer on that one. Installing and configuring server. Senior network engineer. Installing network infrastructure. Let's put a junior network engineer on that one. Now, some of these tasks, 18 general function points, might take a long time. So you might have to double up the kind of people who are doing this. So you can get within that time frame of 56 days. We're constrained by that time. And I do think one of the criteria is being able to get this project done on time. Installing network infrastructure, installing cameras, sensors, lights, and smart bins. So we need a senior perhaps on that one. So, or junior. We could put another junior on that. Junior 2. Installing camera sensors, like so it's a general function point. Remember, complex can only be done by seniors, but general can be done by juniors usually. Installing and configuring technical hub, 8 general function points. Installing and configuring technical hub. Again, we can use our third junior network engineer. So this is a good use of our resources. We're using all of them, and we're not overloading seniors with the work. So installing and configuring the technical hub software, 10 complex function points. I think that would be a senior software engineer. Installing, so we choose senior. Software testing. Well, my junior software engineer has not done anything. So the junior software engineer can create the customized app, interesting, as well as the app developer can. So maybe I could use him on a task before as well. So I'll put my junior software engineer, of which I've only got one. Where is it? Junior network. Did I add a junior? I don't think I added a. Switch back to the resource sheet. Senior, project manager, junior software engineer. His work, and we go back to the Gantt chart. So we're going to put him, junior software engineer, on that. Perhaps, again, how long? So app developer needs 5 hours per general function point, 8 hours per complex, so 5. Whereas a junior software engineer needs 7 hours. So if I put the junior on making the app, he's going to take a bit longer, basically. Whereas the app developer is going to take faster time because he's specialised. Tion, you asked me a question. Sir, did you see the paper last week? I don't know what you mean, Tion. But we're going through this paper right now. Hopefully you're following along. I almost finished it. We're just figuring out the resources. Hardware testing. So who can do the hardware testing? Our senior network engineer could do hardware testing, and we've only used him on one thing, and he'd probably be finished by then. So let's utilize him on that task as well, and he can do that quickly. We might have to add more if they're free, more people to help out with this software testing. I'm going to keep the app developer doing the app because he's specialised and he's fast. And that keeps the quality high. This is something you can write about in your checkpoint analysis as well. of how you kept quality high when you or in your project manager control in your PID, you can say how you made sure specialized sort of staff were used on certain things. Right, okay, so I'm going to save that. Now we need to switch back. Now we need to do the function point analysis. So we're going to go to Excel. I'm going to paste these things in. Hopefully I can just copy that. Copy. And I'm going to paste these in here, and I'm going to do the function point analysis. Function point analysis is basically looking at how long each function point is going to take and calculating the total number of hours and days, and then therefore cost. If I just stretch this out a bit, the rows are quite big, aren't they? So we just want to be able to see everything. It's copied it a bit wrong. And I'll put all of these resources in the folder link so you can go through them all. But hopefully you're following along, and that we're going to delete all these columns here. Right. So FP stands for function point for that task, and then hours per FP. So depending on who's doing the task, that's the number of hours they're going to take. And then from once we've got the number of hours, I said we're going to put cost of that resource. Then we're going to calculate days, cost per hour, days, and then what else do we need to know? Just that, and then total, so the cost for that task, right? So this is 18 function points. The app developer is going to be doing this task. So it's 5 hours per general function point and 8 hours per complex. So he's 5 hours. 5 hours per function point. The cost per hour is in the table on the previous page. App developer is £35 an hour. I'm sure in real life they get paid more than that. I used to be an app developer, and yeah, you can get good day rates, right? You can get like 350, 400, 500 a day, you know. So maybe BTEC need to update their payments of different developers. Maybe that's not realistic. Oh yeah, we need one more column. So hours, days, cost. So total hours, right? So the cost. So it's 5 hours per function point, 18 hours. So it's D2 times E3. So this is a formula in Excel. So you do equals and then D2 times E2. That gives us total number of hours. Now the days, now this is where you've got to be careful and make sure that you've read the scenario really well, because they've changed it here, and it's not 7.5, it's not 7 hours, it's 8 hours a day. So don't get this wrong. Read the scenario. So the days are hours, 90 divided by 8. That's probably going to be a fraction, 11.25 days. You can round it up or down. It's up to you. Be conservative, round it up. And then it's cost per hour, that's the number of hours. So to calculate this cost, you do hours, which is G2 times cost per hour, which is F2. So G2 times F2, right? And then all the cells that have got formulas, I'm just going to copy down, right? So I'm going to copy down the total cost column, the days, the hours, and then these things are stuff that I've got to enter. So on the next row, it's 12 function points, hours per function point. App developer again is 2. It's 5. App developer is, so these are complex. 5 hours for general, 8 hours per complex. So 8, and he's 35. Senior network engineer, so 10 complex function points. How long does a senior network engineer take with complex ones? Read the scenario. 8 hours per complex. And how much do they cost? Senior network, 35. So just trying to see if I can remember this. Actually, the project manager's not costed up in here. That's something you need to pay attention. Oh, he is actually. He's there. Sorry. Senior software 40. Junior software 23. 22, 23. So senior network is 35. And then we've got junior network, so 18. Hours per function point for a junior network is 7 hours per junior. And I think it was 22, wasn't it? 22 for a junior. So these ones are going to be all the same. 20, 7, 22. And then this last junior is 8 general function points at 7 hours per function point, 22. And then the senior software engineer is going to do 10 complex function points. The senior software engineer is 40 per hour, and the senior software engineer takes 8 hours per complex function point. So he's quite most expensive, as they should be. Software testing is going to be done by a junior. 14 general function points. Junior software engineer. The junior software engineer is 7 hours per general function point. And then how much does he cost? 23. And senior network is going to be quite expensive to put on a testing task. This might make it go over budget. Senior network engineer, 5 hours per general function point. He will be faster. But he is $35. So now we're going to sum up the costs. We're going to write equals sum, bracket, and I'm going to choose that one and hold shift down and choose that one, press return, and it gives me the total cost. That's the total cost of the initially of those those resources, those staff members. Now we're going to cost up the materials as well. See if I can copy that in. Yeah, I've copied that table in. Equals sum. I'm going to say this cell to this cell. 58,000. So we've got 58 plus 25. So we've got a little bit. We're still under budget. I think it was 90,000. However, one thing we've got to remember that we said we're going to do extra testing time. So we've got to cost that in and budget that in too, and then add that on to the hardware and the software testing tasks. So during hardware testing, there are 2 major faults, 6 minor, 2 days to rectify a major, 1 day to rectify a minor. So we're going to put, I'm just going to do hardware. I'm going to do a little formula here. So we've got 2 major faults, and major faults take 2 days to rectify. So 2 times 2. and they need, each fault needs 3 days of regression testing. So that'd be 2 days plus 5 days per, so 5 days per major fault times 2, so 10, right? And then we've got 6 minor faults. They take 1 day to rectify. 6 times 1, well, actually 6 times, well, if you add on the extra day, 7, so 7, it's maths again, 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42. That's 42 days. That's quite a lot of days, isn't it? That's going to be quite a big extra chunk to add on. 6 minor faults, let's just check that in my head, plus 1 day of, 6 minor faults, times 1 day to rectify, 3 days per fault. So, actually, no, sorry, that's my mistake. I'm going crazy. Am I? Yeah, it's 1 plus 3, 4 days. 4 days in total for each minor fault times 6. Yeah, so 6, 12, 18, 24. It's still 24 days. So 34 extra testing days for hardware. So we're going to need to double up on resources, or this project's going to go way over. It's where it gets a little bit complicated. Software. 2 major faults. So 5, again it's 5 times 2, so it's 10, and 8 minor faults. That's quite a lot of software minor faults. 8 minor faults. So 1 plus 3 is 4, 8, 16, 24, 32, 32. So we've got an extra, wow, that's quite a lot, right? So we're going to have to add that onto the hours. This is where maybe putting this senior one is going to become expensive, and it might push it over. So 34 days times 8 is 272 extra hours, and then 42 times 8 is 336 extra hours. So I believe that's correct. So that's the extra hours and the days for these software faults, which we're going to have to add onto here. So 98 plus 272, that is going to push it way over budget. Let's just double check that. So 2 major faults, takes 2 days to rectify a major fault, 3 days each fault's regression testing. So it's 3 plus 2, so times 2 is 10, 6 minor faults, 1 day to rectify, 3 days of regression testing, so 4 times 6, 6, 12, 18, 24. Right, that is correct. Gosh, so yeah, so we've got to be careful. So 98 plus 272 and 110. Oh, that's wrong. That's 336 actually. At least we've got the cheaper resource on our software. And then hardware 110 already, plus 272. So what's our total cost right now is going to be I12 plus C12. That's not right, is it? I12 plus C33. So 101,000. So we've gone over budget. Now, if we'd used who's cheaper, who can do hardware testing. This is where we might need to change things up. So if we imagine if we'd used a junior network engineer at 22 instead of 35, how does that change it? It makes it cheaper. It's already gone down. Our budget was 90,000. We're going to get a problem with you're going to have a problem with staff, like at the length of these, that like 282 days for testing, 382 hours and 434 hours. That's a lot of hours of testing. You've got one resource on it, it's going to take ages. So we're going to need to double up on these resources, or get like literally all hands on deck, you know. And I think we should use all the junior network engineers on this. So I'm going to change this testing task not to be senior network engineer, but to junior. And that's something you can write about. You kept costs down. It's slightly over budget, but it's not too much. There's a tolerance, you know, a certain amount you can have, right? So now going back to projects, I'm going to save this. Again, keep saving your work. Wherever I'm going to save it, I don't know. Documents, costs for smart project. Make sure you keep saving everything to your desktop. Don't lose your work. Right. This is something I could update on my PID. Actually, I can add in the total cost of the materials. It's 58,000. Total is 58,125.43. And up here as well, in background to propose work. We can put that in there. We can also put in our total cost now. We don't. Oh dear, what have I done? Undo. Can I undo that? 96,105.43. We can add that in as our total up here. 96,105.43. That's our total cost. Don't know the completion date yet, but we've definitely got the cost. So keep updating your PID and everything. Background to proposed work. And we could say the extra testing time took so any extra information about background to proposed work. Right, so we've got our total costs. Now we've got to transfer these back over into project, and then see if any of the resources clash. Right. So what we can do is, now that's weird, isn't it? Okay, I've made a mistake there. It's not done the hours right. The hours are whatever cell has the hours in G2 divided by 8. and then I'm going to copy that down. Right. So the days was the number of hours divided by 8. So now we've got all these days. I'm going to copy them. Save that. Keep saving. Make sure your work's saved. I'm going to paste the days into it. Now, as long as your tasks should be in the same order they are in the spreadsheet, you're going to paste it in here. If it'll let me. Copy. Right, use the actual copy. And then paste. Right, so customize app. Let's start with that one. Start 11.25 days. I suppose you should round them up or something. Finishes there. Now we need this predecessor column. We need to use that to say who is gonna like the app developer cannot start on the next one until he's finished on the one on row 2, so he doesn't clash. Then the senior network engineer, sorry, is going to work on that. We can put him on the start of the project on that. He's going to take 10 days to finish that. Then the junior is going to work on installing network infrastructure. So we can put them on the start that, and on the start there, and on the start there. This is quite easy, really, isn't it? A senior software engineer is going to install and configure technical hub. 10 complex function points. I guess we can put him at the start. Why not? What do you think? Do you think this makes sense? You're welcome to comment. It's all about thinking about the order of which these tasks should happen in. So we create a customized app, we set the backend up, right? And then we install and configure software. So these can happen in parallel, surely. Install network infrastructure, that can happen in parallel. Install cameras and sensors, install technical hub, installing and configuring the technical hub. The only two things that need to follow on from each other are the app developing task. So what else do we need to do? The software testing, right? So when has all the software testing been done? These are all hardware tasks, aren't they? Configuring. So that one finishes the installing and configuring technical hub software, right? And testing of the app as well. So the app finishes on 9/02/23, and that one finishes then. So we should start doing the software testing when that's finished, or perhaps when that's finished as well. So when that's finished, we can start testing it. So let's say the junior software engineer can start software testing after row 8 is finished, and that should also include the app development when that's finished. And then the hardware testing, well, when it does when's the last date for all the hardware being finished? So installing, configuring that. I guess that one really. So when that one finishes on the 17th of the 1st, then the senior network engineer can start hardware testing. So that would be row 7, right? But he can't start doing that. And anyway, we're not going to use him, are we? We decided we're going to put the junior engineers on there, aren't we? Junior 1, 2, and 3. So we can split this big 47-day task down a bit. But we can't put them onto it until they finished a 6. So if you put 6 in there, that will start and they've all finished. I think we're going to go over here. Because we've got 3 resources on it, we could divide the days by 3. So 47.75 or 48 divided by 3, 16. So we've got 3 resources on it. So we can divide that by 3. So it's going to take a lot less time for the hardware testing. However, we still got 54 days of testing that one junior software engineer has to do. Is there anyone else who can do software testing? So he can do hardware testing, junior software engineer can do software testing, senior network engineer, so senior software, app developer can do software testing actually, can't they? But they're a different rate of pay. This is where it gets a little bit complicated. So to do this, we need to split this task up, because I'm 100% sure we're going to go way over the time scales. So if I move this back to the Gantt chart now, we can see it building up. So by the way, time is now 12. I've been doing this paper for about 2 hours, pretty much done all the PID. I've almost finished this. The only thing we're going to have to do is export. Always remember to export. Your teacher should allow you time after the exam to export things. So it shouldn't be included in the time, you know? So look, we are going a little bit over here, as I suspected. Maybe if I shrink that, zoom out. But we've got the Gantt chart in there almost. Almost got an hour to spare as well. So because of that testing task, we're going over. Now there is a requirement in the mark scheme that says you only get marks if you do it within the time frame you've got. How can we solve that? Well, we can split this task up, right? But that means we're going to need to create, because basically we're going to put the app developer on here, and the junior app are at different rates of pay. So I'm going to copy that here, and we've got this massive task, 434 hours. We're going to give half the hours to the junior. So whatever 434 hours is. So you have to create 2 separate tasks now, right? Because you've got an app developer and a software developer, and they're on different tasks. So 434 divided by 2 equals 217, right? So I'm going to put 217 on that task, 207 hours on that task, 217 hours on that task. We're going to put the app developer on here. App developer is £35 an hour, right? So these testing tasks are quite expensive, you know, but we can split the software testing, the function points between the junior and the app developer. So the junior software engineer is going to do. We don't want to overwork them as well. That's something you can talk about in your project management control. We don't want to overwork them. But we've got 2 separate tasks. He's getting paid £23 an hour to do these 217 hours. He's getting £35 an hour to do that. But we split it up now, so we can go to our project. Now I might create another task then, but I'm going to put the app developer on here, right? And 54 days divided by 2 is 20. 54. 55. Say 55 divided by 2 is 27 and a half days each. 27.5 days each. 27.5 days each. Right? So this we split this testing task now into 2. 27 days for that one, 27 days for the app developer. Now the app, there's a clash here because the app developer cannot start on his testing task until he's finished that one. So we have to put the predecessor column 3 in there. So now we've got rid of that clash. But now you can see that we've fitted the whole of the project within the timescales. So that's what we're trying to do here. We've utilized all the resources, Junior 1, 2, and 3 on the testing task. And we've utilized the app developer and the software developer on the software testing task, so that we've split those massive tasks up so we're not going to run over. And really that, I think that's distinction level, really, if you can show that you can do that and think on your feet a little bit like that. But you need to split the tasks up and divide the time between 2 only when you're using different price resources on different tasks. And yeah, that is it. That is how you create the Gantt chart. So we're actually going to finish the project a few days before, like, when is the last day of this? When does the app developer finish the testing? He finishes the testing on the 20th of the 3rd. So we're actually going to finish within. So before the date we had, so the 20th, January, February, March, 20th of March 2023. The costs are going to be slightly affected because we're using him. What is the total cost now? Interesting. How's that gone down? Oh, I know. Maybe. Let's just double check that's right. So, hours. So the cost is G9 times I9. G9 times G11 times G11 times F11. A little mistake there, perhaps. This is where things go wrong, but we still got this extra hour to think about that. What went wrong? Can anyone who's watching online see that? You know, it's valid to make mistakes, but because previously we had a higher cost, but since we've split that testing task up, it's gone down quite a lot. So it was like 400 and maybe I did the incorrect calculation here or something, the number of hours. So 400 plus 7 plus 30, 34. It was greater than that, wasn't it? I think there might be a slight mistake here in the number of my hours calculation. So originally it was 14 times 7 98. Plus 336 equals 434. Okay. So 434 divided by 2 is 217. That is right. It seems like we're slightly over. Okay, let's just assume that that's right. 91114. 91. Maybe they won't notice that. Nine one 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 four three 114.43. So we finished before the end date. We've done it within budget, and within time. So there's a couple of things I still need to update on here, but I've basically done my okay. Oh, please don't say that. It's not going to save. Right, I'm going to have to just check this is saving somewhere, put it on the cloud or something. I'm not sure what's going on there. The only thing we need to do now is export those costs. It says I've run out of memory. It's probably because I'm running in a virtual window or something. Irritating. Let's see if we can get this open. I have to reopen this window. To reload back into it, but you can see that I've done all the costings up, right? We've then just got to transfer that information back into here. We've done everything else here, so I'd first need to update the smart targets. I need to put in dates and comments for each task, right? And I can copy that. I was hoping to be able to copy that from my project file. So if I can get back into here. Do you want to start repair? Again, this is why you really got to make sure that you saved all your resources. I am going to log out of this. There's a way of shutting the computer down here. So I'm going to disconnect from that. Maybe if I open it up in a different web browser window. Yeah, basically, we've got to transfer things back into here. I'm going to have to transfer the dates in and the costs into the smart targets table. I've also put I put total cost of the materials in there. What else do I need to update about the PID from that? Well, I can update that actually we're not going to finish on the 27th of March, but 20th of March. So that's within, we budgeted it within time. That's how many function points, extra testing time, what other things can we say about the background to proposed work? What else can we add in here? We put in our budget, our ending time, project manager control, purpose of the project, all the responsibilities, materials. We need to update the smart targets. To be able to do that, I'm going to need to get back into the into here and copy those dates over. But I might just do that for you quickly, and then upload these documents and put them in the folder in the link below for this paper. So that is how you do part A of the of the January 2023 paper on the smart targets. The only other thing you need to do with that project file, of course, is to export the different views. So you need to maybe if I can just demonstrate that to you quickly. Now I've got back in. Date modified. Is this going to open? I don't think it's corrupted. This is often a problem you have. This is why you've got to make sure you save your work. Yeah, things could go wrong, but I think it saved it. Oh, it's not saved it. You see, and I've lost all the dates and everything. That's incredibly annoying. But let me just put them back in because I can. Just got to open up Excel. Then I'll show you how to do the exports really quickly. So paste the days back in again, but I'm going to copy that task and put it here. So it's 27.5 days here, 27.5 days here, but this one is the app developer. He's going to work on that, and I'm not going to put senior on that because he's too expensive. So I'm going to use all my junior network engineers, and then I take the date for that. The app developer can't work on that until he's finished that first task, so you use predecessor row 2. And then senior network engineer can start at the start of the project. Then they can start installing those things there. Junior software engineer, he can. When does the software testing finish? The software testing. So when does the software? When can he start software testing? That one. So we said predecessor column 8, didn't we? And then the junior network engineer. All these ones, they can start hardware testing when they finished on all those. So column 5. Or column 7. I think no, column 6, isn't it? Row 6, not column, row 6. That's when they've all finished, they can start on that. But because there's 3 of them, it was 48 divided by 3. 48 divided by 3 is 16. So it's 16 days and not that, so that cuts that down. Then the app developer can start doing software testing when he, well, either then, no, or yeah, when he's finished when he's finished his task, he can start software testing, or that 8, I think, 8. But row 8 is not until so only when he's finished it. So 3. Now there's no clashes. If you looked at the Gantt chart, so we see that we're within budget, finishing on the 20th of March. I'm going to zoom out so I can see more of it. There we go. Within budget, within time, overall time. Now I'm gonna save that because it didn't save it, did it? And I think we need to copy that one to there so we can do that cost. App developer. We're going to put 217 hours each. 217 hours each. 217 hours each. Save that. Now I'm going to transfer the costs of this into project. So we go to the Gantt chart, but we're going to go to view, click on tables, click on cost, and then I'm going to put the total cost in for each of these tasks. So I select this one, I do total cost here. And does that match the same cost that we've got in there? Just double check. Strangely, that's more. So all those tasks there. Yeah, because we've added that extra one in, haven't we? That's why the cost seems to go down. So our cost is still 96,105.43 because I didn't add in that extra row there, right? So that's something we need to update about that here. So it's 90, not 91, 96. 96, 105. Save it. Keep saving work. So I keep saying, like, situations like what I just had could happen, but only because I'm using a virtual browser and stuff. It's not great. So we've got total cost in for all the different tasks. Now we need to go to the resources. Resource sheet, and this is where we need to copy in the material costs. So now this is the new way I've sort of learned how to do some things. I think if I just paste the cost in there, then it messes everything up. That's not what I want. So I'm going to undo that if I can. I'm just going to enter it manually. I think 1119.99, 17. Sometimes it's just easier to enter things in manually. 799.94. I think this is where I put the total cost for these resources. 598.4449.5. 2990 for the cabling. 29,900 for cabling. 2258 for the routers, 10,500 for smart bins, 10,000 for that, 2,500 for that, and those are all the costs for that, for the resources, for the materials. Of course, I added in that extra. Yeah, that's the other resource there. So hopefully now I've got all the costs in there. So to add the costs in, I went to that view tables cost, added in the cost for all the added in the costs for the resources. That's in resource view. In the Gantt chart view, I needed to add in the cost for the individual tasks. So I copied those in again. And so now hopefully when I go to my reports, I should be able to output task cost overview. This is the first one we need to do. Now it's not quite showing, that is showing the total cost, but we need to show a level 2, which should, so this is the new way of doing things. I'm not 100% sure of how to get this completely correct. We've got to select level 2 here as well. Just got to show a breakdown of all the costs of the different tasks, basically. And then this should show level 2. This is actually the total cost of the materials, right? This is the total cost of the tasks, right? It's 37 if you looked at that. 37,980. The total is 96,105. So we need to add in another chart, and we need to make that resources. So you see here on I added another chart, and then there's these 2 columns here, tasks and resources. If I choose resources, and then that's the cost of the resources. So we don't want resources, do we? We want we don't want to show the cost of resources because that's a separate report. We want materials, resources, materials, that's it. So one of these options should show us actual cost. Right, yeah. So this is now a graph of all the different the resources. That's a graph of the different tasks. Perhaps you could make that a bit bigger so people could see it more clearly. I just have to move this whole table down. So doing this new way where I'm not putting the resources into the task list kind of complicates things a little bit. But it does mean that you can show individual tasks and costs of materials and things a bit more clearly. So that's the cost of all the different resources. What I'd really like to show here is the overall cost of everything in this so this just shows the cost of all the tasks, which is this here. It's 37,000 for everything. It'd be nice to be able to show an absolute grand total, but you could add another pie chart that could show the total cost of the materials as well. So, but to export these views, you've got to use report task cost overview, and that should show a breakdown of all the individual tasks and the materials, and show you the total cost. So I'd export that, and I'd make sure I name it in the way it says you should name it. So it's like export that as a PDF, and then it's something like, again, you'd have to look at what they say here in the make sure you need to export the PID, task cost overview, resources, and the Gantt chart, and name them in the way they've said here. So it's like activity to cost, activity to cost, exactly like that, but you'd put your registration number in there. Export as PDF, activity to cost. There should be a way to show the total cost materials plus resources, but I'm not sure how to do that right now in this new way I was showing you. So as I said, if you want to put all the resources in with the activities, do that. And the other one you need is report resources overview, and that should just show a breakdown of the number of hours, who's doing what. Now you see I've forgotten to do project manager. So so this project is going to take, so I might need to go and add that back in. You'd need to go and add that back in. I might go and do that. Project manager. What's his cost going to be? So if the project is going from January, so go back to entry. How many weeks is this? So I'm going from January, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks. So let's say it's 10 days for a project manager, 1 day a week. Quick calculation, project manager, I'm just going to add this on here, plus 10 times 8, 80 hours, 80 hours times 40, it's actually going to take our cost to 99305 if you remember, and you need to remember to include the project manager. So put them in the Gantt chart and update your PID now, and you're going to have to argue 9930543. So a little bit more, a few thousand more, but you need to cost in your project manager as well. So I need to do another export on my task cost overview. Task cost overview. And just check that that extra project managing task is in there, but we've not updated the cost. So you need to know what the project manager cost is. So we said 80 hours times 40 is 3,200. So we're going to need to put in 3,200 project task. So go to the view, Gantt chart, cost, 3,200. Then you're going to need to do a new task cost overview, which should now have the project manager in, showing how much that cost and how much the total cost for the tasks. And then you've got that extra line there. So we're going to need to export that again. Then you go to report, resources, resource overview. And this is where we're using all of the resources. So have we measured out the work? It looks like the app developer is doing quite a lot of work on this project, but that's okay. I mean, that's what we decided we wanted to do. I think thinking about it, in the resource overview, because now we've put the materials in the resources, we could put that graph for resources, materials, we could actually put that in here and then show the cost, show cost. So you see what I'm doing here. I'm creating a new graph, and then I'm deciding whether I'm going to show the tasks or the resources. I've gone to filter. I filtered resources material, and then I'm doing. I don't want to show the hours, so uncheck all the work thing, but show the cost of it. So materials are now a type of resource, which I didn't put them in the task. So perhaps they shouldn't be in task, but they should be in resources. So where we show the general, like maybe that graph doesn't make any sense, but we just want to show how many hours each person is doing on what. It says 0 hours for the project manager. That doesn't make any sense. You want to make sure it does make sense before you export everything. Entry, definitely put 10 days in. So that should show. Let's just make sure this is all saved before we start exporting, because sometimes it gets corrupted. Resource overview should have 10 hours in for that. Not sure why that isn't showing. Then go to File, Export, Create PDF. This is resource. Activity to resource. Okay, save that to my documents. And then the last thing you need is to do the get the Gantt chart out, right? So we go back to Gantt chart view, make sure we're on resource, make sure we're on table entry, maybe blow the Gantt chart up a little bit so you can see it. Scroll to the beginning. Then we're going to go to File, Print. Now I'm going to choose a paper size, a really big paper size, so everything fits in. But I think it already fitted in anyway, with A4. But sometimes there's so many tasks it doesn't fit in. But make sure it looks good. Doesn't matter if you go to multiple pages. Just matters that the examiner can see all the tasks. Yeah, they can't see who we've allocated to what, so we need to fix that. Scroll that over there so they can see the allocation as well. Yeah, we need to allocate that. That's why it wasn't showing up in the resource cost overview. We didn't allocate the project manager to the project managing task. So that task should be like project managing, and it's being done by the project manager, and it takes 10 days. And then when we do this resource, that report resources, it should show that the project manager is doing 10 hours on that now. So make sure that works well. But anyway, back to exporting the Gantt chart. Go to File, go to Print. Make sure it looks good. The examiner can see everything. They can see all the tasks, number of days, the dates, really important, and who you've allocated to each thing. And they can see that in the Gantt chart as well. And they can also see that you're within the time. It doesn't matter if it goes to multiple pages. And you go to, this is why you should save your work, because sometimes it gets corrupted like this. So activity Gantt. That's the format, activity Gantt underscore your registration number underscore your surname underscore that. I'm going to save that as a PDF. Sometimes this takes a while. And that's it. That's all you need to export. The other thing you need to export is this PID as well. Now, is there anything else that we need to add to this PID that we haven't completed? I mean, we've already almost done 3 hours actually, but I've got about half an hour left on this. So I think perhaps we could add the dates and comments in, couldn't we? We should add the dates and comments in for these tasks. So now, because I'm on Windows and then this screen's on Mac, I can't copy between them. But here, we should write in it finishes on 24. The first task I have to write it in, finish 24:01, 24:01, 23. How much is that going to cost? Let's switch to the cost view so we can see it. I can just hover over this actually when I'm on cost and it'll tell me everything. 3,105, 3,105, and app developer. So maybe you can write more in if you like. This one will finish on 09/02/23 and cost 361. Like, if I could copy and paste from this, I would, but I can't because it's like this is on Mac and this is on Windows and the other one's on Mac. 09/02, 02/23, 3360. App developer again, and so on and so on. I might fix this later on before I upload it, but make sure you put in all the dates, so the start date and the end date, preferably 21/04. The first one started on 09/01, 240123, and this one starts on when that one finishes, 240123. So those are the dates. Put as much information as you can in the SMART targets, who's going to work on it, and maybe an extra comment as well. When you get down to software testing, say it's taking a lot of hours, therefore we put free resources onto it, or split it between the app developer and the software developer. And you can justify the slight overruns in cost. We've gone, 10,000 over budget. It's within a reasonable limit, right? So it's within a reasonable limit. So I think it's fine to do that, because we've managed to get everything in before the end of the project, on time, before the end of the time we had. So make sure you put all of those things in there like that, the start and end date and the cost. I think everything else is fine here. We've got half an hour left, so you could think of, you use that half an hour, write in more things about risk analysis, Don't just go, oh, I've finished, I'm going to leave early. No, stay there and just think of anything else you could possibly write in there. The more detail you put in here, the better mark you're going to get. Right, so I'm going to end this live stream here now. I'm not sure who's here. There's about 2 people still on the channel. So let me know. Let me know how that went for you, where you got with this. Let me know if you want me to go through part B tomorrow. So part B would be the checkpoint. Was this useful? If anyone's still there. If it is, if no one's still there, no one's still listening, well, you can watch. This is going to get saved to the channel, so you can re-watch this. Maybe I'll try and go through and timestamp it, so you can skip to different bits. But hopefully, this should give you, another chance to practice and see how to write these papers and get a really good mark. Break down the task, divide the task between several resources, so you stay within that time scale. Figure out how to cost things up when you've got different resources on. Okay. So I'm going to end this live broadcast now. Thank you.